Oh, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from ZooBox. Welcome to another edition, another episode of Hot Reacts Only. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the official teaser trailer for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Oh, yes, everybody. It's finally here upon us. Snyder is back, working with his good friends, over at Netflix, making his dreams come true, getting him to take some projects that he had sitting on the shelf. He said, let me dust these things off. You give me $250 million. I will make you a very long movie. So, yeah, the official teaser dropped for Rebel Moon, as I just said. And they dropped it at Gamescom 2023. Oh, boy. August 22nd, 2023. 22/23. The day of the Rebel Moon. So people are very excited. People are popping off. They're doing all sorts of stuff out there. It's hard to say. It's hard to say what the reaction is because the Snyder Bros, man, when they see some Snyder, man, they start cooming, dude. They start cooming almost immediately. But anyway, so I have watched this trailer. If you haven't watched it yet, I would suggest that you go watch it first and then come back because we're going to be pausing. We're going to be analyzing. We're going to be talking about stuff. We're going to be smoking. We're going to be joking. It's going to be a good time. I'm glad you're here. So without further ado, let's rebel against the moon. So here we go. Big N logo. Oh my goodness. What's that? What? Oh, Netflix. I get it. That's when you know a movie is fucking serious, very deep and spiritual, is when you're in a field of wheat. A field of wheat. This is very symbolic, okay? This is very symbolic. Life, death, creation, evil. It's all right here in this image. Snyder is packing imagery into these images. Meaningful imagery into these frames.
Do you know the story of the Princess Issa?
No, I don't, Anthony Hopkins. Now, that is one thing that struck me, and I didn't know that Anthony Hopkins, this is definitely on me. This is my own ignorance. I did not know Anthony Hopkins was involved in this picture. I don't know to what capacity is part of it, or if he's just like a narrator. Is he just like a Greek chorus? I don't know. I don't know yet. But I felt like it kind of made the trailer feel a little generic. Because he's kind of just saying generic things you would think that Anthony Hopkins would say amidst fantasy and science fiction.
In myth, she was called the Redeemer. It was said this child would stop the madness of war. That she was to usher in a new age of peace and compassion.
Of seeds. See, that's what I mean. That's what I was talking about. The life, the death, the reaping and the sowing. Don't you get it? Don't you understand? Yeah, the look of the movie so far, 41 seconds in, is a little almost kind of anonymous. It feels a little like generic science fiction. Although I think part of that is the impetus for this project. Like I said, a lot of what Snyder's been doing has been kind of going back and brushing off old projects. Army of the Dead was one, and now Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon was originally a pitch for a new Star Wars movie that was rejected by Lucasfilm. So he took it back, and then he kind of developed his own lore, his own world. But it does have lots of shades of things that we've already seen, and it's going to have a very similar architecture to something that we're familiar with through something like Star Wars. Kind of the generic hero's journey, But we live in a world in the wake of Star Wars, so there's been lots of imitators of that. It's a very popular form of storytelling. Not that it wasn't before, but in genre stuff, it's very, it's the dominant like kind of subtext of most most stories like this. So that it kind of has that working against it in a way. And also, Dune coming out like a year ago. Doing the kind of the big, grand, generic looking, sandy scope,
I was given memories of a world I will never see. Loyalty to a king I cannot serve. And love for a child I could not save.
What do you think they want?
Everything.
Oh, this chick. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. We'll look afterwards. She was the mummy in the film The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise. Remember that? She was the mummy. She's been in a few other things, too. Those things are escaping me at the moment, but I don't know. I don't know if she's a proven actress or not. I mean, I've never... Anything I've ever seen her in, I've never, balked at or anything. But this is a big thing. To kind of have a franchise like this on your shoulders. And you got to be... You don't even have to be the best actor in the world, but you have to be very likable. Very relatable. Kind of like how Mark Hamill was, right? To go back to the Star Wars talk. Mark Hamill, not the best actor in the world, but very, very likable and very relatable for anybody. Whether you were old or young, you could identify with him. You could identify with him nostalgically. You could identify with him because that was how you felt in the current moment or what you could see coming. There's a lot to that. There's a lot to the casting of something like this. So I'm curious because I am, like I said, it could be my ignorance. I just don't know. She could be an amazing actress. I just haven't seen her in the right thing. But I wouldn't say off the bat that I find her to be a very kind of like everyman type character. She needs to be kind of the audience and the hero, but also the audience's vector into the world. So I don't know. We'll see.
I found her.
Oh shit, the Empire showed up. The space Nazis.
Scargiver.
I am a child of war. I was taught that love is weakness.
Oh, so it's kind of like Finn. More Star Wars talk, okay? Kind of reminds me of some of the look of this, especially these parts they just showed. Kind of give me like Warhammer vibes. It's kind of cool. I like it. I like that it's kind of like Roman Empire / Nazi, like kind of fascist kind of stylings with the haircuts and the slick outfits, but throwing those Roman colors around. Looks very cool. Very visually appealing. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from Zack Snyder. If you say whatever you want about Zack Snyder, whether you like his movies or not, the dude has got a nice eye. He knows how to put something nice up on the screen.
Weakness. There is a difference between justice and revenge.
I mean, that's fucking cool. That's cool as hell. This movie seems like it's gonna be a lot, and I know it's gonna be split into two parts. One's coming out in December. Part 2 is coming out in April sometime. I don't know if this teaser is showing you parts of both movies, because the tone is kind of like, it seems like the tone is kind of be very hard to balance, and there just seems like a lot. Like they're gonna do a lot of world building, a lot of lore stuff in these movies. It's almost like seems like they should have done a mini-series or something and structured it that way. Because that's kind of what Zack Snyder's been doing anyways. I mean, if you go and watch, his Justice League or Army of the Dead, those are things that could be very easily be broken up into parts. I kind of wonder why they didn't do that with Rebel Moon. Like, why they didn't just make it like a big, massive series. I'm curious because if it's going to be 2 parts, I have to imagine. I mean, the run times of these are going to be like 2.5, 3 hours, at least, right? At least 2.5 hours. At least 2.5 hours. So we're talking 5 to 6 hours of content, or art rather. Sorry, I called it content. That was gross. But of stuff, 6 hours of stuff. Like, why not just do that? You know, why not just do that? Especially if you're gonna have something that's supposed to be like big in scale and scope. It's gonna be hard to. It seems like there's gonna be a lot of characters. There's gonna be a lot to keep track of. We'll see. We'll see. You know, we don't know how much some of these characters are going to even be in the movie. So, you know, you got to remember that.
There is a price to pay for your defiance.
Shh. One moment. I do love this part.
Hold on.
That guy right there, dude. He's supposed to be like Donald Trump, dude.
Don't want no trouble.
We're not here to bring any.
Are you ready?
You and I both know fear. Let's show them that we're not.
I mean, you know, I do kind of respect the fact that it wears its influences on its sleeve. Like, you know, maybe this is this little hack to notice, but I mean, this looks like fucking Dune all of a sudden. I mean, that looks just like one of those. Well, I mean, I know not exactly, but very reminiscent of the equipment they wear in Dune. In passing, not directly, but you could just tell that, like, yeah, that seems like it's somewhat of an influence to one degree or another. And I kind of appreciate that it's just kind of out there. Like, he's not hiding it. He knows that you're going to understand what he's calling from, because this is like this big labor of love, this big project that he got to build out that is basically all of his influences in this kind of genre stuff, namely Star Wars, and it seems like there's some Dune in there. I'm sure there's other things. Maybe there's some Excalibur, some John Borman's Excalibur. That would be fucking cool, because it definitely has, you know, that classic hero's journey that we were talking about. Arthurian legend obviously falls very squarely into that. So, who knows? Who knows? I like that, though. I like that.
Let's show them that we're not afraid.
This I'm a little less keen on. This, like, you know, because now we're just throwing everything into this movie. All, like, fantasy, science fiction. Every movie you've ever fucking seen feels like it's going to be represented, which could make the movie feel boring. It could make it feel, like, kind of redundant. Just, it's like too much. Like, oh, now we have to kind of go into this kind of fantasy territory as well. You know? Is this Harry Potter all of a sudden?
Let's show them we are more than the shackles that bind us.
Actually, now it kind of reminds me of John Carter of Mars, or John Carter from Mars. I think, is it of Mars? Now it kind of reminds me of that movie. A movie that's actually much better than its reputation, FYI. But yeah. Now it reminds me of Ong Bak.
King is a man.
I like that. That's a cool creature there. It's a cool little guy. Where is he? There he is. We'll go back a little bit. This is some nice visuals here. Some nice vistas. A lot of vistas, huh? You notice that? That's a cool looking character. Seems like it's got to be all CGI. I want to say it's like partially practical, because they did a really good job with the lighting here. Looks very natural. I would be cool. I hope I find out that it's a practical effect, because I want to say it is, but like if it's CGI, they did a really great job. I would prefer it be some sort of practical, computer mix there, digital and practical mix together. That's what I would prefer. That would be my preference in terms of a person that appreciates parts of the craft. Okay, but it looks great. You did a great job, Zack.
A king is a man, and a man can fail. But a myth is indestructible.
Yeah, you gotta be like Batman, you know? You gotta be like Batman. It's almost like that's another part of the Anthony Hopkins narration here. It is full of cliches, and you have to wonder. I have to wonder how intentional that is. Is that done with a wink and a nod? I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure I buy that. You know, Zack Snyder on the one hand seems like not a retard, but on the other hand, he also seems like kind of a retard. You know, I call him like a bro dude philosopher. You know, if you watch his Man of Steel, his Batman v Superman, you know, you watch those movies that he's done, Sucker Punch. There's a lot of what I would call bro dude philosophy, kind of cliff notes, reduced down, very reductive versions of philosophy, and he acts like they're much deeper than they are sometimes. Like, you know, whenever he talks about Batman v Superman, and he has to, you know, oftentimes he has to take kind of a defensive posture. He's always just like, yeah, man, people weren't ready for it, dude. They weren't ready for a postmodern, deconstructionist, feminist, deconstruction of these heroes, of these characters, dude. That's like, well, you know, I kind of understand what you're saying. I understand that that's what, like, it is in the most lightest sense, those things. But yeah, I'm always curious about Zack Snyder. I will say this, though. Seems like a super nice guy. Retard or not.
The time has come for all that you love. Protect each other and show them no mercy.
So we got like a 3PO character in here that showed up in the third act of this trailer. Let's go back a little bit.
Protect each other.
I do have to say this, though. I know I'm going to go a little bit back. I am not a big Charlie Hunnam fan. Not a big Charlie Hunnam fan. I think he's a little bit of a charisma vacuum. See Pacific Rim. To watch him suck the air out of that movie with his weird, smug performance. Also, you know, he was in that biker show, Sons of Anarchy. Not a great actor. Very limited range. But I've seen him utilized very well, though. There's a movie called The Lost City of Z. The director's name is escaping me at the moment. He also directed Ad Astra recently. This is Zwick, something like that. Anyways, Edward Zwick, I think. Lost City of Z, it kind of utilizes the range of Charlie Hunnam in a really clever way because it's like a period piece and people are kind of stiff and stuffy and they speak in the way that people did at the time. So his stiffness as an actor, his lack of charisma actually feels like a character choice. So it works really well in that movie, but I don't know. I'm not going to say that he hasn't gotten better. You know, you can always get better, Charlie. You know, you can always improve your craft. Maybe he has here. Even this freeze frame here, he's definitely emoting a little bit. He's definitely emoting pretty well. Oh, the other good Charlie Hunnam movie that he was utilized well, The Gentleman. The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie.
Protect each other and show them no mercy.
Oh man, I missed it again. Where is it? It's a cool design. I do like how it kind of takes the concept of Star Wars as like the lived-in world, kind of, right? And so this robot here looks a little like, you know, old, a little beaten, a little rough around the edges. Adds a nice texture to everything. The world, I will say that, from what I can see, it kind of looks generic, but once you kind of like get into the larger kind of landscape, it looks nice. Like the geology, you know? The geography of it, the way everything's kind of with the mountains and the vistas and stuff. And it's varied. So we're going to see different planets, I assume, right? You know, because now this is the mountain planet. That's how things work in science fiction movies, you know, like in Star Wars. You know, oh, we're going to go to the ice planet now. We're going to this planet. It's all cold. We're going to go to the ocean planet, dude. That's where we put the clones. And we're going to go to the sand planet, dude. We call that Tatooine. That's the rules, dude. They even had to follow those kind of rules. Remember in Interstellar, you go to a planet that's just water. Ridiculous. But anyways, I like that about this movie. I like that I like the variation in landscapes, and then I went to one that's not varied at all, but it seems cool, and it seems like it's a lived-in world, which is something I appreciate. This looks a little Halloween costumey, this beard, I will say. But I like the variation on the environments. You know, obviously kind of textures and an architecture that we're familiar with ourselves, so it kind of helps us ease us into the world, get into the verisimilitude of it, enjoy its idiosyncrasies, because it's something that is passively familiar to us, you know? Oh, that's what I'm curious about. I'm curious about this lightsaber lady. He's like, oh yeah, no, dude, this is like, this is my lightsaber. This is my Jedi.
Justice and revenge.
That's Ashoka. That's Rebel Moon's Ashoka.
There is a price to pay for your defiance.
It looks like some of these effect shots are not finished yet. Like something like that looks like literally, that's pretty bad. It doesn't come out till December, and I'm sure they'll be tinkering with it up until the day it comes out, up to the moment it goes live. But again, though, that's kind of giving you that kind of those like London or maybe Paris vibes. It's the European city planet. Look, you got Zorro over here, and It the Clown, Pennywise.
Shh. One moment. I do love this part.
You know, and also there's a movie that this kind of reminds me of too as well. It's actually a Shakespeare adaptation that I'm quite fond of. Julie Taymor, the director, mostly famous for Broadway. She directed the Lion King, but then she made a movie. She did an adaptation of Titus Andronicus, which coincidentally also starred Anthony Hopkins. He's doing the narration for this trailer. And she did this thing with Titus Andronicus where she like kind of updated it and it did this alternate history that the story took place as if Rome had never fallen, and it kind of also had shades of kind of like, fascist, Nazi kind of fashion styles and kind of vibe and look to it. It was very unique. It was very cool. And this movie seems like it has a little bit of that. A lot of hearkening back to kind of I've seen some Roman stuff here. When we're in this kind of territory, it's almost like hearkening back to his time, his work on the film 300. You know? I know they were Greek.
on.
Shut up.
I don't want no trouble.
We're not here to bring any.
But guess what, guys? It's gonna happen anyways. Is this the same? Is this the I can't remember that woman, that actress's name, the Asian actress.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I thought it looked like Whips for a second. I was like, it looked like Ivy from Soul Calibur. Oh, look, we got, was that Goro? We got Goro from Mortal Kombat.
You and I both know fear. Let's show them that we're not afraid. Let's show them we are more than the shackles that bind us.
See, that's the thing that Snyder, I think, in this movie is really going to have to be balancing, is how corny it's going to feel. Getting the right balance with that melodrama, with the kind of slightly corny, slightly campy, overly familiar kind of probably story and structure. Maybe he'll throw some twists and turns in there. I hope he does. I am not a Snyder hater. I'm I make apologies for like Batman v Superman. So I'm not a hater at all. I want him to succeed. I want this to be a good movie. But I do think Snyder has limitations. He has things that kind of hold his films back a little bit. The guy's got to learn how to fucking tell a story in like 90 minutes. He's got to. Even the movies that I like, the things that I can at least a lot of times outside of Batman v Superman, A lot of times I feel like he could definitely lose some time. But anyways, it's so crazy because, he was like, well, this is like a 7-hour movie, and Netflix was like, well, can we make it a show? He's like, no, we'll make it 2 movies. That's all I'm going to do. And we're going to make a video game. That's another thing they announced. They're making a video game that takes place after the movie. I'm like, how many times? How many times are studios or people going to get burned before they stop doing that? How many times? Look, it's not Jason Momoa. If this was Jason Momoa, you know what he would have yelled out here? He would have said, "My man." Look, my man. That's what he would have done. That's what he would have brought some of that Momoa magic to the moment.
A king is a man, and a man can fail. But a myth is indestructible.
It's a cool shot. I like this robot. I guess this is the movie C-3PO. Or whatever. I like this design, though. It's cool. It's like, well, it's very reminiscent of Star Wars, especially Rogue One. I can't remember the name of the robot in that movie, but that robot, kind of a little bit of a similar look, right? Am I thinking of the right movie? I think it's Rogue One, right? Is it Rogue One or is it Solo? I can't remember. They all kind of bleed. All those Star Wars movies, other than like the original 6, I suppose. I'll give the prequels too. I can't remember anything about them individually. They're just a glob of Star Wars that I have seen. But it's a cool design.
The time has come for all that you love.
Look, it's fucking, dude, it's Amistad. They got Amistad in this movie. Amistad gonna be breaking those chains, dog. Gonna be freeing slaves, freeing minds. Okay? Dave Hodges style. Beautiful thing. Perfectly cast. Perfectly cast.
Protect each other and show them no mercy.
Illuminati, dude. They're everywhere. The all-seeing eye. It's always watching you. This is what he's doing right now. This is called, he's telling everybody. He's telling everybody that he's putting you under a magical curse right now. This is ritualistic blood magic, everybody. Confirmed. Confirmed. The movie looks so fucking great. Like, there's just so much stuff. There's just so much stuff. Like, the world, it just seems so big and expansive. But, I mean, like, listen. If it is, like, over the span of 5 or 6 hours, okay, I guess I can buy into that. I can buy into that. Again, though, I do have to wonder, why didn't they just make it a fucking television show?
Who among you is willing to die
Or Netflix
for what
show.
you believe?
And when some people, there's 2 different kinds of people. There's people that like start cooming when they saw part 1. They're like, oh my God, he's done it. He's done it. And then part 2 comes and they see that it's only coming out like 4 months after the fact. They don't even have to wait that long. They're cooming even harder. And then there's other types of people that they saw part 1 and they started to die inside. They started to die inside because they have to watch this for their work, because they're all bloggers on Twitter, okay? And they hate Snyder. They hate him. They think he's a fascist. I think he's a misogynist. They heard he wanted to make that fucking Ayn Rand movie. He wanted to make Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead. One of those 2. And they weren't having it. And they hate him. They think he's a retard, like I was talking about earlier. That's what they think of him. But yeah, how did I feel? I was like, that figures. I totally should have seen that coming from a mile away. Also, I do like the score. Like the way that the score builds up at the end here. Even though, again, it's a little generic. It's a little generic sounding. It sounds very much like sci-fi fantasy of the 80s and early 90s. It even has like hints of the score from fucking Total Recall. You hear that?
Who among you is
Okay, it comes back at the end. Hold on. The Total Recall sound. You know what? I might have just been hearing that in my head. Maybe I just was like, oh, it's just like Total Recall. Oh, it's like there for like a hint at the very end. Oh my God, Shaun. You're letting your mind get away with things here. But this is cool. This is another cool creature that looks like it's a mix between practical and CGI. Very cool. It's Shelob. There she is. I mean, he's just going to have everything. Everything. He's like, motherfucker, I've seen lots of fantasy movies. I've read lots of fantasy books, pal. And I'm putting them all into Rebel Moon. All into Rebel Moon. Everybody going to be looking for checks from Zack Snyder. But you ain't going to get them. Okay? But it's cool. Also reminds me of, is it Kerrigan? Yeah, Kerrigan from StarCraft. You know? Kind of reminds me of Kerrigan a little bit. Pretty wild stuff, pal. Buddy. It's cool. I like the look of it. I like the vibe and the tone that they're going for. But it does seem like, I mean, is it just my imagination? But it doesn't seem like it's a little kind of all over the place, though. Like, just even visually. Like, it goes from, like, things that are, like, much harder reality. Like, feels much more literal. To, like, full on, fantasy settings and, well, looks like, the Warhammer, like, medieval stuff like that, and then it just becomes like Dune all of a sudden. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the scale seems like all over the place. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky, Maybe I'm just being nitpicky. Maybe I'm just a little too high to be talking about this. It's Donald Trump, dude. It's Donald Trump. They got, like, musket laser guns? What? This also bothers me because I don't like, obviously seeing this out of context of the movie. I'm like, what the fuck how does this fit in? How does this Griffin and this Jason Momoa, John Carter of Mars looking motherfucker, Ong Bak 2 guy, how does he fit into this? There's so much stuff. We saw so many characters. We saw so many different places. We saw what seems like a ton of different time periods. This is expansive. This is huge. This is huge. This is Snyder really blowing his load. Really blowing his load here. Look, it's like Titanic. Now they're just a bunch of these simple country folk, that don't want to be molested by the Empire, just living life. This is probably a wedding or something. Maybe those are his daughters. Maybe they're his wives. Oh, what if this is very progressive? Open relationship. Yeah, that's Destiny. That's Stephen Bennell II and Melina, and then whatever other girl they find. And he's just living life to the fullest until the Empire comes, until the space Nazis arrive, and the Illuminati, violin-playing Illuminatius. I mean, look at that. Little, it looks like a little bit like a Coliseum, doesn't it, guys? Yeah, that's what I thought. See, this, I don't know, this is concerning me. Okay, so they're going to meet this guy on their travels. So it is going to be a little bit like, well, you know, going to be a little bit Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. You know, this is the company. This is the company that we're going to have here. So we're going to have our tank, our magic user, our knight, and our healer. We got them all there. All laid out before us, guys. Yeah. Rebel Moon. Again, another shot that looks wildly undercooked. Not done. I have to assume this is not done. This looks like a fucking screen grab from a point-and-click adventure game from like 1994. That's what this looks like. It's like a Sierra screen that you would be brought to. And you could click on it to try to find clues. Yeah. Wow. This looks like they really just burned down a village. This looks pretty good. I actually really like this actress. I do like her. She's been in tons of stuff. Tons of stuff. It wasn't. She's also in Cloud Atlas, I think. Is she in Cloud Atlas? I don't want to be accused of racism. Like, no, it was a different Asian woman, you bigot. But yeah, this is honestly, like this, her being the lead, I am finding mildly concerning. Not because she's a woman. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. Just I don't know. There's just something about her I find harsh. Snyder's like, yeah, dude. It's fucking feminism, bro. Get this hard ass lady, dude. Dude, she's like Luke Skywalker, but a lady. He's like, yeah, I saw what they tried to do in Star Wars. I saw that Rey character. Get out of town, Charlie Brown. That's what I said. I'll show you a Rey. I do like the score. I don't know who did it. It's got that kind of propulsiveness of a Hans Zimmer or whoever Nolan's new guy is. Nolan's had a guy that did Oppenheimer and Tenet. Great scores, but very Zimmer-esque. This is also, I'm catching those vibes. With a little like cyberpunk fucking guitar on there and stuff. Something, well, although, Hans Zimmer does sometimes bust out the guitar. I don't know if you're familiar with the Wonder Woman theme. Thank you very much. Just saying.
What do you think they want?
Shut up, Corey Stahl.
Everything.
Oh, look, he's got this little knot, a swastika tattoo. Look at this guy. Everybody's just so happy that he's there. Hello, everyone. It's me, the Space Nazi. I found her. I was actually, I think I saw somebody else reacting to this afternoon. I know, scandalous. And their big concern was that she's like, this girl better have like magical powers or something, because these dudes, they wouldn't even be affected by these kind of blows, that kind of force. They wouldn't even. They might be mildly bothered. So she better be magical or something, man, because that's bullshit, Zack. That's bullshit, Snyder.
I am a child of war. I was taught that love is weakness. There is a difference between justice and revenge.
Oh, there's a difference between justice and revenge. So she's gonna be like the Gandalf. I guess she's kind of like the Gandalf character.
There is a price to pay for your defiance.
Shh. One moment. I do love this part.
You know, though, I have to say, I think that's probably enough, but I have to say the trailer itself is kind of okay. I feel like it's just kind of all over the place. I understand that it's a teaser, that it's there to kind of set a tone, kind of just get you acclimated to the visual aesthetic and the world and stuff. But it didn't really, it doesn't make me more interested in it. Like, I was already interested because Zack Snyder, whether I like him or not, sometimes I like him more than other times. He's always somebody I'll check out. I would definitely watch a Zack Snyder joint whenever it's released. But this didn't really make me all that much more interested. I don't know if it does a great job of kind of communicating much of anything, even the tone or the visual style. Like all the things that you would think a teaser like this would be trying to get across. I'm not sure it really succeeded in that. You know? I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie, regardless of how the trailer makes me feel, I guess. I'm looking forward to it. December 22nd. I got something to look forward to, you know? Netflix always bringing out the big guns during the holidays, you know? Remember when we all got to watch Brights? Remember that Christmas? Woo! What a Christmas. Will Smith, elves, orcs. My God, we should be so lucky. That's a movie that, you know, that's actually a movie that kind of, in a weird way, where it makes me think of Rebel Moon. Because you're like, well, you know, it's got a cool idea. It's kind of it's got a very basic structure, follows very basic archetypes. It's got kind of a cool aesthetic, but it can never really settle onto a tone or a style, really. I'm really hoping that's not the case here. Like I said, I want to like this movie. I'm going in wanting to like it, but I was raised Catholic and I'm not a liar. So I'll have to say how I actually feel about it. But yeah, you know, Snyder's an interesting enough director. I'll always check out his stuff. I'll always kind of be on his side in a weird way, you know? I don't know why. I feel like he just has like an underdog presence. And, you know, whether or not I think what he's done so thus far is always successful, like, he's trying to do new, interesting things. And I always appreciate that. All right, everybody. Well, if you made it this far, thank you. I'm Shaun, and I'll see you when I see you. That's been Hot Reacts Only, the hottest reaction show on the internet. That's been Hot Reacts Only for Rebel Moon, December 22nd. Get ready.